Hi everybody. I thought I'd talk about glyphs a little bit today. Energy and glyphs. I mean, energy is a huge subject, so I can't really cover too much of that aspect of it, other than that there is an energy message or a telepathic message attached to many of the personal glyphs. And I mean, their understanding and mastery of energy can take them from point A to point B, hundreds of miles apart with just the mere thought. And that's just, scratching the surface of it. Energy, time is involved. The fact that the Sasquatch do not follow the parameters of time in our third dimensional concept of it. All these different understandings and masteries that they have over energy are just beyond words. But as I said, with the glyphs, there is an energy attached to them too. If there's an instant knowing, and sometimes, I have to admit, I've seen literally tens of thousands of glyphs, taken picture after picture, and studied them and compared them. And so, I've got to know a lot of the symbols, and, then you get to know what they mean in context, or the meanings as, you see the messages over and over again. So there is some of that. But there's also times when you come onto a glyph and it's just an absolute instant knowing. You don't even have to, doesn't even really have to register. You're barely looking at it to like taking the time to read a sentence if it was in a sentence. It's just like an instant knowing. And so, anyway, veering off into a slightly different arena with glyphs. When I was first starting out, I was on a talk show, and a lady who was the host suggested, and it was something that actually I had thought of doing myself too, but this kind of made me go out and do it, suggested that I design my own signature glyph. Now, a signature glyph is something that it's like your signature. For instance, my name is Brian. Hello. And so my glyph, I just made a simple B. And I think I put a roof of protection over top of it too, just two peeled sticks. Just as a little something different. And as soon as I started doing that, like virtually they started changing the glyph around. They'd start moving the glyph around. They even started putting my signature glyph into their messages. And there was an amazing story where they actually combined it with about 3 or 4 of their messages, and it was basically a message of family. I'm sorry, 3 or 4 of their glyphs, signatures. There was the H for Rajase. There was the A for RE. There was the 4 for Forshna. I can't remember if Little Bud, the open triangle, was in there. But my B was in there as well. And there was also a roof of protection, and it was all woven together over and under in a complex and just a beautiful little glyph. And I knew the meaning immediately. That's, in essence, where I knew it immediately. And I was excited, and I mean, I still pretty well share all my pictures anyway. But in those days, I was putting picture after picture on Facebook and sharing with everybody, which I still like to share, of course. And I got home, and I put that picture on Facebook of that special glyph, that personal message to me, in an album with about 160 other pictures. I took a lot of pictures that day. And I was talking to a fella and my girlfriend Sue, and we were discussing the message in the glyph and how excited I was, and you know, it felt like a breakthrough, and it felt, you know, like a, you know, building a relationship. It felt so personal. And anyway, so this fella, he saves it to his hard drive because he liked to look at my pictures too, and you know, and was very, very interested in the subject as well. So he would quite often save some of the ones that he liked to his hard drive, which he did right there, you know, right as I was showing it to him. And actually, I put it in Sue's chat box on Facebook, in the little box where you chat. And it was on Facebook in an album, and it was also on my camera. And so I'm talking about it for a few minutes to them, and all of a sudden, I noticed that the picture was gone off of Facebook. Every other picture was on there, like 159. If I said I had 160, so there was 159 still on there. That particular picture was removed. It was also gone off my friend's hard drive. It was gone out of Sue's chat box. Yeah. And I checked my actual camera, and it was erased from my camera, from the memory card. Every other picture was on there. Now, I've had other instances where they've erased pictures from my memory card, and actually Sue had the same experience at the same time. But anyway, that's just an example of the amazing things that they can do. And, you know, I figured out after the fact, well, it's always an education. When they do stuff like this, there's always a lesson and an education behind it. But they were also telling me that that picture was just for me. And they didn't mind me sharing it with a few people, but then they took it away. And that's only happened a couple times. And it was a powerful lesson. But anyway, as far as if anybody out there who was interested in glyphs, like I said, you just take some peeled sticks and just design something that's personal to you. It doesn't really matter what it is, it's just that your intention is important. You send out the intention that, hello, this is me. Hi, I'd like to say hello. And then leave it in a place where you've had interaction or wherever, you know, you feel comfortable with. And seriously, I've suggested this to quite a few people, and they've had interaction between them and the Sasquatch with the glyphs. So it's a good way. It's a good way to, you know, start a relationship if that's what you're interested in. It's definitely worth trying, and it's not something that's, you know, too difficult. The other thing is that I found out, which is really, really interesting, is, you know, I always knew that the meaning of the glyphs was personal between you and them. So it's telepathic. So an A for me, which means RE, for somebody in Oregon or, you know, some other area, it's probably not going to mean that, unless RE for some reason is trying to connect with them as well. But generally, the symbols are personal to you, and whatever you think that they mean and what is the arranged meaning between you and the Sasquatch, your teachers. And I always knew that, and I actually proved it, and here's how I did it. And of course, you know, they hit you over the head with a mallet. They never leave anything to chance when they give you a lesson, with me anyway. It's, you know, they hit home pretty hard. Maybe they think they've got to get into my thick head or something, but they don't leave anything to chance, put it that way. So I came up to a structure, and in front of the structure, leaned up, or actually stuck in the ground in front of it, was a Y stick. And, you know, I thought, you know, Y is one of the most common glyphs that they use. I mean, Y and A, and then of course their signatures, you know, like H, 4, X, which is actually friendship welcome. But for some reason, I never really pondered what Y meant. And I guess I know now after the fact, because it was a powerful lesson, and once again a lesson in the the fact that time does not exist for them and things of that nature. And so I saw this Y stick there, and I started thinking, my friend Randy Brisson told me at one time that he thought his understanding of the Y stick is here's the Y stick with the two prongs and then the shaft. So the two prongs are Sasquatch and man, and the shaft is all connected, if you can visualize that. So I just thought, I'm going to adopt that meaning. Well, the very next day and ever since, I've gone out and I've seen the Y stick constantly woven into other symbols and glyphs that I already know the meaning to. And the Y stick, with my meaning of man, Sasquatch, all one, all connected, what I've seen when they're combined with these other glyphs, it's very consistent with the message of man, Sasquatch, all connected. For instance, Sue and I have a glyph that looks very much like a fish, or I guess it's kind of like a fish. It's kind of like an oval kind of thing, and an oval kind of thing, and the ends are kind of just crossed over a little bit. And that's always been our connection glyph. And so, like I said, once I adopted that man, Sasquatch, all one, all connected with the Y stick, I saw it woven into Susan my glyph, I think the very next day, as a matter of fact, and many times since. And basically it meant man, Sasquatch, all connected. You and Susan are connected. We're connected to you, and basically everything is connected, which is, their message. So even more stunning, and also speaks of their mastery of time and the fact that time does not exist, is the fact that I look back right around that time, maybe a week or so later, as I came to that realization about the Y stick, and I saw one of my all-time favorite glyphs. I mean, this is top 10, and I've taken a lot of glyph pictures. This one's special, and it's my favorite one of Sue and mine, our glyph. It's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's got a little leaf that represents a heart. It's just a beautiful, touching glyph of connection that I think was actually made by Raja Say, who's Ari's daughter. Just because it has her touch, her feminine touch that I've come to know. She's always has that little bit of loving, just that special giving, I guess, or whatever. Her heart puts her heart into her glyphs and her messages, I guess, basically. And so I was looking at this glyph that was taken about 6 years prior to when I came up with my understanding for the Y stick, and as I'm looking at it, I see a subtle little here's the glyph. I see on the outside left perimeter of it, and I'll show you a picture in the post here, but there's a little Y curled in, subtly curled in, and it's like they knew, man, Sasquatch, all connected. You and Susan are connected. We're connected to you. The same message 6 years prior. But the thing is that they knew. They knew that, the moment when I would come upon it and have that realization. And that's the beauty of their teaching, and that's also the advantage of it. It's absolutely amazing. So anyway, I hope that, somebody out there takes me up on my idea and makes their own glyph, introduces themselves to the forest people, and if something happens, let me know. I'd love to share in your excitement. So, thank you for listening.